But aren't pigeons just right with wings, is what a lot of people argue. Man has domesticated pigeons from rock doves for over 10,000 years, similar to the ones that you see in these images at the city, probably for food, religion, and communication. From those purposes, then man got curious and started breeding for different purposes, colors, physical characteristics, and eventually competition. My introduction to pigeons as an animal lover was when I was a child. In particular, powders from a young stepdad that I had in my early years, and then growing up in the city, the pharaohs that would come to parking lots of certain buildings that residents would feed seed mixes and leftover rice. Even the feral pigeons have an internal clock that they would start arriving at the usual feeding time, and I'd sit around as a kid and watch for different colors or markings. The rare white pigeons that would stand out in the flock, which were probably released birds from a religious ritual or celebration. It wasn't until adulthood in 2011 that I got a few pair of pigeons of my own. But people ask me, what's so cool about pigeons? I mean, if you like birds and you've owned chickens, they're probably as cool as a chicken. If you like chicken outside of eating it on a dish, pigeons can be just as entertaining. There's also various pigeon breeds that are raised for commercial eating, but we're talking about pigeons as a pet. They can come in different colors, plumage, breeds, shapes, and sizes, flying styles, and various other characteristics, as some of the pictures that you've seen here are pigeons that I owned or that I've taken from the internet to show the different variations and looks on them. Just like any other birds, pigeons are seed and grain eaters. In the city, feral birds can eat just about anything to survive. However, domesticated pigeons usually the food consists of corn, seeds like sunflower seeds and safflower, legumes like peas for protein, and other seeds like milo, hemp seeds, and millet are also accepted. They also need grit to help break down food in the crop and provide calcium and minerals. There are also other sources of nutrients that can be given, but we'll leave that for another video. Pigeons are very much like other birds where they need supplement calcium and things of that nature. So they're not much different than any other bird. However, they're also housed in cages, aviaries, or lofts depending on the breed you keep and their needs. Racing homers, for example, need a large loft to stretch, while a Jacobin, Indian fantail, or a Modena pigeon might need less space and may be a low-flying perch to keep their feathers clean. Due to their powerful wings, I recommend that pigeons are kept outside. Like any other birds, they flap their wings and their feathers, poop, dust, or tray material can be propelled by their powerful wings outside of the cage. They can be kept inside like poultry, but then again, I don't recommend it. Once you understand the nutrition, the different breeds, and their purposes, then you can sit down and decide what breed would interest you. Similar to getting a dog, you need to know the activity level, the space you need for housing. Check with your HOA or your local zoning laws before you get into birds, and decide whether to build a loft or place some cages in your balcony, rear porch, or your yard. Last thing you want is to get into the hobby and then you have to remove it due to the local laws. This is just a generic introduction, but once you get the overall picture and housing of these birds, it requires planning and a bit of research on their husbandry, but overall pigeons can be a rewarding pet, especially once you get into the different phases of the hobby, whether it's for looks, sport, or just companionship. They're a great pastime. Now that you have an overall idea of what it takes to have a pigeon, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the husbandry for the type that I keep, which are thief powders.